If you're coming to Barcelona this September 2024, you've got a big month ahead of you with a massive event taking place throughout the entire month of September, plus what seems like a neighborhood festival every single week and one big holiday. It seems like you've got things to do every single day that you're here. And so to help you get better prepared for that next trip, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down some of those biggest events, the dates that you need to be here, and how you can best experience Barcelona this September. But before we get too deep into the video, as I do every month, and so that you don't have to write all of this down, with so many things going on in Barcelona in September, I've created a separate guide that you can download and take with you on your phone. It includes maps, a list of all of these activities, plus links and extra information of things that I couldn't get into the video, all to make your trip that much more special. It's going to be your key to the city, so if you want to get that, click on this QR code you've got right here, but you've also got a link down below. Now, before we can get into any of the other activities and events that are going in Barcelona throughout September, we have to talk about the America's Cup. This is the biggest event that's going to be taking place throughout the entire year in Barcelona this year, and it's definitely one that there is a lot of excitement for. We expect to see a lot of people in the city, especially around the port where they're going to be taking place with all of those races. Now, the America's Cup really starts at the end of August, and the finals are going to be taking place at the beginning of October. But what that means that throughout the entire month of September, you've got all the preliminary races to find out who is going to be that final challenger to take place in the finals against Team New Zealand. You've got 5 other teams that have been here for almost a year and a half, competing, practicing, really trying to get ready for this major event, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So the places that you're going to want to get over to, because it is a free event, not only for the citizens, but for the people that are coming over, you want to get over to the beach where they've got some different fan zones that are set up. You've also got a huge racing village over in Moll de la Fusta, right along kind of the old port and everything. They'll have some big screen TVs, all sorts of activities and other things that are going on as well. You have to think, with America's Cup being so big and taking up so much of the city, a lot of the other events have been affected by it. Some of them have moved to other places in the city so that they're not bringing in even more of that overcrowding. And some of the events, like the Festas of La Mercè, have moved over to the port so that they can be part of the action as well. It's going to be a massive event. I'm not going to leave specific dates for you, but basically every single day in the month of September, you've got some sort of the races, the round robins, or the semifinals that are really taking place. And there are some awesome activities that you can take part in as well if you want to get a little bit closer to the action. The one thing that I've been suggesting for the last couple months now is really getting on one of the golondrinas. The golondrinas are the boats that'll take you around not only the port, but into the Mediterranean to give you a really nice view of Barcelona. And it's a great activity that you can do any single day, really, to get a beautiful view of the skyline, but you get closer to all the different hubs for the teams that are competing in the America's Cup, and you also get closer to the boats. And if they're out practicing or passing by that day, you get a really cool experience with it. But if you want to get even more close to the action, there are going to be a bunch of tours going on that'll take you up around the coast to get an idea of the America's Cup, getting over to the America's experience, or seeing these things by boat, air, or land. I'll leave some links in the description below so you can find all of this information if you really want to take advantage of this huge event. Now, apart from that America's Cup, I did mention that there would be neighborhood festivals throughout the entire month. And the first of those that's going to be kicking off are the Festas de Poblenou. Poblenou is a great neighborhood that's a little bit outside of the city center, and with all the action moving over towards that Ciutat Vella, the port area, this might be a really good opportunity for you to get out and see not only a different part of the city, but a place that's going to have probably some less people around it. From that 6th to the 15th, you've got the 151st edition of these neighborhood festivals. That's going to be a lot of fun. And usually with those longer dates that are always around about 2 weeks, the 2 weekends that fall inside of those dates are the ones that have a lot more of the bigger festival traditional activities that are going on, where you've got the castellers, those human towers that you see in every single one of the festivals. And you've also got the correfoc. Now remember, with the correfoc, which is that fire run where they've got those people dressed as demons running with the fire and the embers, shooting around and people getting under and dancing underneath all of those embers, they do have a kids version and an adult version. Obviously the kids version a little bit lighter, than all of the different kind of fireworks and things that are going off with that correfoc, but it is always fun. With each of the festivals that you're going to see, you do have an option for those castellers and the correfoc. Now, just like with the Poblano festivals and any of the others that we're going to see, we don't have the full programs out, but once we get closer, you will have all of those links and everything, not only below, but in that full guide where you can access all the different information, and that might help you plan a little bit more. Other things that are really cool with the Poblano Festival that are going to be going on probably during the week a little bit more are all sorts of different concerts. They've got open air cinemas where you can check out all sorts of different movies, some swing dance competitions, and so much more. Like I said, it's a really cool area to get over to. So remember, from that 6th to the 15th, once we get a little bit more information, you can figure out which days you really want to get over there. And one of the best parts is that the festivals usually end with fireworks on the Bogatel beach. Now, the last of those neighborhood festivals that's going on are the festivals that are over in the Barceloneta. And these are the festivals that have definitely been affected the most by having the America's Cup here this September, where you're going to see a lot of people over by the beach around in that area. So you'll see that what usually is about a week-long celebration is only going to be from the 25th of September until the 29th. The other thing that you're going to notice is there's not going to be the big fair that's always set up with all the different rides and things around the old port. It's not as much space for that with everybody going to be over there, so they have removed that. But they still do have some of the traditional activities and things that you can see over at the Barceloneta festivals. One of them being the Pasacalles Cañón, where they have a cannon that goes around the neighborhood and in the morning really shoots off a bunch of candy for all of the kids. It's one of those things that's very traditional to the Barceloneta neighborhood that you don't see in many of these other neighborhoods. The other things that you're going to see are streets that are decorated with a bunch of shops and artisans that are moving out into the streets, into those plazas, and really changing the idea of the neighborhood. Some of my favorite things that you can see are the habaneras, which are celebrated out in front of the St. Michael of the Port Church, which is the patron saint for the neighborhood and really why these celebrations go on. The 29th is the day for St. Michael, but they're going to have all of these traditional sailor songs and port songs that are going to be held with concerts in that plaza. Throughout the festival, there's usually some guided tours and itineraries that you can go and explore the neighborhood with, which is an area that while a lot of people get over there and go to the beach, it's one that probably they don't learn about as much as some of those older parts of the city. So it's always cool to see an area that does have its own history that kind of acted as a different neighborhood or a different city almost from Barcelona up until those Olympic Games in 1992, where it really was connected a whole lot more. And to get around and see all these little routes, it's really fun as well. Most of those are free. All you have to do is sign up on the website. Again, the programs aren't 100% out for all of these, and without those programs being available, we don't know 100% what is going to be going on. But some of the things that they've had in the past, like last year was a big drone show right out on the beach. So some little special things that you can see really only in the Barceloneta neighborhood. Now, I went a little bit out of order with those neighborhood festivals. We've got the Poblano at the beginning of the month, and we've got the Barceloneta at the end. But the days leading up to that Barceloneta festival, we've got really the festivals for the entire city of Barcelona. Not just a neighborhood festival, but the city's festivals. This is the best festival that you're going to see throughout the entire year of Barcelona, and this year really taking place throughout the entirety of the city. And like I mentioned before, it's the one that really changed its main spot, which is usually in that Gothic quarter, to be even closer to the events of that America's Cup. So we're going to see a lot of things over by that old port, Mol de la Fusta, and everything. But with over 500 different activities going on throughout the entirety of the festivals, it's going to be a great time. Now, the day that we're celebrating is the patron saint of Barcelona, La Mercè, Our Lady of Mercy, which is September 24th. But like any festival in Barcelona, we have to extend that out. So it's going to be running from the 20th to the 24th this year. It starts on Friday, September 20th at 7 p.m. with the opening act, which is going to take place in that Plaza de San Jaume. But then you're going to see all sorts of things that are going on throughout the entirety of the city. Like always, you've got that day of the Castellers, where you can go and check out those human towers, and you can also see the Correfoc. And this is one of the first things that I ever saw when I moved to Barcelona, and really the first festival that I saw when I moved over here. So it always is a lot of fun, but it's like a big conclusion to the whole summer experience. So it is the one that if you're here on these days, you definitely want to see. One of the best things about La Merced is how it takes over basically the entire city. And what you're going to see with that is that means that there are a lot of different concerts that are going on. The Merced music program includes not only things that are dedicated specifically to La Merced, but you've also got the BAM Festival, which has a lot of different artists coming around, and you've got the Festival for the Music in the Streets. That's going to be taking place a little bit more over towards the port of Barcelona, but with that BAM Festival and the La Merced music, you've got concerts over in the Forum every single year. This year, you've got a special concert set up and a special stage set up in Plaça de Catalunya, something that we don't always have. Plaça Real is going to have more concerts again, which last year I don't even think that we had. And there's going to be a bunch of other things spread out into Les Corts or other parts of the city like Sant Andreu, places that you usually don't get over to. But like I said before, 500 different acts. You've got about 14 different stages, over 140 different artists and musical groups that are going to be playing, and you'll see all sorts of different things. It's a great chance to see Catalan culture, Spanish culture, groups from all around the world. And with La Merced each year, there's always a special city that's invited to be the guest city of the entire festivals. This year it's Casablanca, so you will see a lot of the Moroccan groups that are involved in some of these concerts as well. Now, like I mentioned before, these festivals really have become the best throughout the entire year. You've got awesome weather, you've got concerts and events all throughout the city, but it is a celebration of one of the patron saints. La Merced is one of those patron saints along with Santa Eulalia, but La Merced being celebrated on the 24th of September is something that took place because she saved the city of Barcelona from a plague of locusts back in that 17th century. She wasn't going to become one of the patron saints of the city until later into the 19th century, and that causes a lot of jealousy between her and Santa Eulalia. Santa Eulalia is celebrated in February, doesn't get as good weather, really doesn't get as good of a celebration and all of the things that are going on. And they say that with that jealousy, she does tend to cry. And that one of the days of the festival, it's going to rain. So check the weather before you head out. But in September in general, you don't have to worry too much about rain. But if you look at every single year, there's always at least one day where Santa Eulalia tries to ruin it for us. Now, there is one holiday that you should be aware of in Barcelona in the month of September, and that's on September 11th, known as the National Day of Catalunya, or here as La Diada of Catalunya. This is a day where you are going to find different store closures and different businesses that might be affected. I always say that it's not something that's really going to affect the tourist attractions, so if you want to get around and explore, that won't be an issue. But you should know that in the morning, it is probably not a time to be in the center of the city, in that old part of the city. If you want to do a tour or explore, there are a lot of people around. In the afternoon is always a little bit better, but my personal opinion is not a day to do a tour in Barcelona just because of so many people being around. Now, what's being celebrated is the end of the Battle of Spanish Succession here in Barcelona, where for many years there hadn't been a king in the entirety of Spain, and Barcelona, after a 14-month siege of trying to keep the Bourbons out, gives in on September 11th, 1714, and Philip V becomes the king of what would be Spain. Now, this is a big celebration, very much tied in today to the independence movement that is going on. So you will see a lot of independence flags around, like I said, especially in the older part of the city around the plaza called Fossar de las Moreras, right next to the St. Mary's of the Sea, Santa Maria del Mar church in the Bourne area. So many people are around that I really don't think it's worth trying to get around and explore that area. If you do want to check out the festivities and what's going on, there are a lot of different stalls set up for different memorabilia around this independence movement and anything of the such. But there's also some cool things that you can check out where you do see in front of the Bourne Cultural Center some human towers, everything of the like. But there are just a lot of people around, so I want to make sure you understand how it's going to look when you're over there. Each year I usually do a live stream around there so you can check out some of the past years to get a better sense of it. In the afternoon and the evening, things are a little bit different, where the old city really is left pretty empty because everybody that's taking part in the big procession will go to a different part of the city. This year, I haven't seen any information on where it's going to take place or even any information about the special shirt that will be sold. But usually what happens, starting at 17:14 or 5:14 in the evening, you've got people walking in a different section of the city, usually making some different patterns. And it's not just people from Barcelona. It's usually people coming from all around Catalonia. Again, very tied into the independence movement, the show of force for this idea of independence that still is very prominent here in Barcelona and Catalonia as a whole. Just so you have an idea of not only the holiday, but also the processions that will be going on. You might have some cuts and some stoppages in the traffic and things all around on that day. If you're looking to catch some football games, you've really only got one opportunity to catch Barcelona at home, which is on the 25th of September against Getafe. But you do have Espanyol, remember, who is back in the first division, and they'll be playing at home on the 15th and the 25th. On the 15th, they're playing against Alaves, and on the 25th, they're playing against Villarreal. Remember that these dates are always set in terms of the weekend that they're on, and they could be either that Saturday or Sunday, sometimes even that Friday or Monday. Very rare that you're going to see Barcelona playing on a Friday or a Monday, but the Espanyol game could be on that Friday or Monday as well. So keep that in mind when you're looking to get tickets, but as we get closer to those dates, you'll start to know the exact date and the exact time. If you do want to catch another option for a game, Barcelona will be playing at Girona, just an hour north of the city, on the 15th of September. That will be a really cool game. And with that, you've got all three Catalan teams that are playing in La Liga. Something a little bit different that I haven't mentioned in previous September videos is Barcelona. This year going on from the 13th of September to the 15th, and it's going to be over by the Port Olympic. Now, if you're a CrossFit fan, you'll know what I'm talking about, the WOD workout of the day. You've got all these different competitions that are taking place out in the open where you can go over. If you want to compete, you can sign up, usually as a team, or if you just want to check out the competitions, you can get over there as well. One of those other events that has definitely been affected by the America's Cup being here this September is Catalan Book Week. And in the last couple of years, this event has been held over at the Old Port in the Mall de la Fusta. This year, it's moving over to Passeig Lluís Companys, which is that area right in between the Arc of Triumph and the Citadel Park. Now, this is one that maybe if you're coming from the outside is not as big of an event to get over and check out, but it is all about the Catalan book, Catalan literature, and really promoting that language. They've got more than just books. They've got all sorts of different things going on as well. There are some different concerts, some talks about the books, and even some literary routes that get around with some of the books written here in Barcelona, the authors taking you to some of those spots. There are some that are on the outside of the city as well, but really for this entire week, which it's running from the 20th to the 29th, you've got an opportunity to check out some things within Catalan literature. Now, I like recommending all sorts of books to you when you're coming over so you can get a better idea of Barcelona. Maybe buying them in Catalan if you don't speak that might be a little bit difficult, but it is a cool idea to find out about some of these books that maybe you can find translated for you as well. Either way, it's a really cool event that's taking place at the end of September that you can check out if you're here in Barcelona. If you are interested in that Catalan Book Week, it is one of the few programs that's fully defined, so you can get online right now and check out any of those events or activities that you might want to take a part in. As far as those neighborhood festivals, it's still a little bit too soon to know the full programs, but as we get closer, we'll have a better idea of what's happening each of those days. And if you're looking to take advantage of that America's Cup and really see something that has never been seen here in Barcelona before, I am working on a video for a guide to experiencing that America's Cup. In the meantime, check out some of my other videos all about Barcelona so you can make sure that you have a great time while you're here.